Good afternoon. Welcome to Cool Springs. Today is Wednesday, September the 3rd, 2025. Normally on Wednesdays, we come out here to the church and the ladies have a fellowship time where they do a devotional and they share some food snacks and they'll play games, and sometimes they'll talk about upcoming programs and events that they are aware of in the community or things that we need to be planning as a church. Last Wednesday, we did not have the podcast Bible study here, though the ladies continued to meet and do their program. And I had told the folks 2 weeks ago that we're not going to have the podcast part on last Wednesday, but you are more than welcome to go ahead and have the other part of the ladies' Wednesday afternoon meeting, which they did. So I showed up for church today and was here setting up the Bible study here in the Sunday school classroom where we do the podcast. And one of the ladies from our church came in and she was surprised to see me. She said, I thought you told us you weren't going to be here. I said, no, that's last week. Somehow she had thought that I was going to be gone for 2 weeks. No, just one. And the reason I was gone last week was because I was participating in a one-time seminar that was being held at a church down in Dothan on the loss of a spouse. And because I have experienced the loss of a spouse, and last week was actually one of those significant memory dates for me, and this seminar showed up, I thought, this is probably God's message to me that I needed to go to this specific seminar. And sure enough, I did, and it was really, really good. And I got an extra copy of the book that they gave out, which deals specifically with dealing with the grief you go through when you've lost your spouse. Everybody's going to experience loss. You may experience the loss of a parent, of a child, of a sibling, of a dear friend, a co-worker. Each loss has its own effect on you, and the loss of a spouse has a very intimate loss that you experience that's different from losing a parent. Even though you are a part of your parents and they are a part of you, losing that spouse, that person that you've joined your life to, that other half of the one flesh, which is the way the Bible describes what a marriage relationship is supposed to be like. It's a different kind of loss, and it's a very, very deep, personal one. And so the book was very helpful, and participating with other people who have also lost spouses was helpful to me. And so I got an extra copy of the book to put here in our church library so that other people can take advantage of it, whether it's somebody that's lost a spouse themselves or whether it's someone else in the church who knows somebody who lost a spouse and they want to try to look for ways to provide comfort and assistance to that person. So part of the seminar dealt with, okay, you've lost your spouse, but you're still here. You have to make plans for the future. And your future's different than what you imagined it was going to be before you experienced the loss of your loved one, whether it was something sudden and unexpected, or whether that person had taken ill and was declining in health and you knew it was just a matter of time. You still have to figure out, okay, this person is gone, but I'm still here. How do I go on, and how do I really live and not just exist? But future plans can also include fun things. I remember when I was engaged to be married, the week before my wedding, I was working in Atlanta, and the people in my office threw a surprise wedding shower for me. It was under the guise of a staff meeting where all the managers were going to be in the staff meeting, and they had a list of agenda items for what we were going to talk about in the staff meeting. And the last item on the agenda was future plans. I get the agenda. So does everybody else who's going to be at this meeting. But you see, I'm the only one that didn't know what future plans really meant. They all knew that that was their way of saying, okay, the last thing we're going to do at this meeting is that we're going to throw this surprise shower for Nancy as she's getting married. It was a surprise to me, but everybody else knew. But yes, I was planning. Our wedding was going to be on Saturday, and this was like the Friday before the week of the wedding. I was deep into double checking with the caterers and making sure that the dress had arrived at the dress shop, that I could go pick it up, that the tuxes for the men were on order, that, you know, all the details that go into planning a formal wedding were being handled. As individuals, we have to make plans for our lives, and sometimes those future plans that we had get derailed by circumstances outside of our control. You can lose a loved one. You can lose your own health. You can lose a job. You can have to move. There's all kinds of things that cause you to have to adjust your future plans. But if you're a believer, the one thing you have to keep in mind is that you may be surprised, but God is never caught by surprise. That God is in control of everything that happens in your life, good, bad, and in between. And that sometimes when you have to adjust those future plans, you have to remember God loves you. God cares about you. God still has a new path forward for you. Maybe it's different than what you imagined, but it's still God's plan. This is 2025. In 2022, I knew that I was in my last year of working. The year before, 2021, my husband had already retired from his job, and he was just waiting for me to retire. And he and I had some plans, things that we wanted to do. And so we had been talking about what dates might be good dates for me to retire, and what were we going to do afterwards. Well, he got sick suddenly, and he passed away, and so all those plans were just suddenly gone. In the blink of an eye, a lot of things that I had been looking forward to and anticipating and hoping for were gone. And now I had to think about, what is the future going to be like? And for a long time, it was hard to think about the future. It was hard to imagine enjoying anything, because a big chunk of me had been suddenly ripped out of my life with the loss of my spouse. But over time, and with the help of a lot of people who were showing me in ways that I wouldn't have even dreamed about, how much they cared for me, how much they wanted to help me get through this dark time in life, I needed to start making plans again. And one of those plans that I knew I needed to make was, okay, now retirement's not going to look anything like what Mark and I had imagined just a short time before. Now I was going to have to imagine retirement on my own. And one of the things that I did was I adjusted my plan. I was going to retire in July of 22, because at that point in time I would have hit the right age. I would have maxed out my pension from work, and it would have been a good time for us to go out so that we could start enjoying in the fall of the year doing some of the things we had planned to do. And I knew, okay, that date's not going to work for me anymore. For one thing, it would be too close to the 1 year anniversary of his loss. And I knew I still need to be at work because I don't have my spouse anymore, but I've got a work family, co-workers who cared about me, and they can help me get through that rough first anniversary of his passing. So I moved my retirement date from July to December 22. But in the meantime, I still had to think about, okay, now what? What am I going to do in retirement? And over time, God put the right people in my path to give me some options that included some of the things that I'm doing as a volunteer now, to be able to still have a reason to get up in the morning and have something to look forward to, but also have some time to enjoy life a little bit, to make some positive plans for the future. Future plans. We need to have future plans. Our plans may not come true exactly the way we envision them. We have to learn to adjust to changing circumstances, whether it's changing circumstances in our own family situation or in our financial situation or in our health situation. But we always need to keep the focus on, I'm here now. God has work for me to do. I need to enjoy life. And I also need to focus on what is it that God has for me in the future, and how can I be open to whatever changes God brings so that I can represent Him in the world. Because if you really want to have joy in life, the only way you're ever going to have it is if your future is focused on the God who loves you, the God who has paid your sin penalty for you, the God who has guaranteed you an eternity with Him, and you can celebrate a life of worship wherever you are and in all circumstances. Thanks for watching.